A beginner's guide to preparing images for video. This tutorial is going to be basic but useful for those that are new to this. So for most beginners, there are two concepts to follow, and this is design your video project in a widescreen composition and use high resolution images. So let's talk about these concepts a little more as I minimize this and go into my video editing application. In this case, it's Sony Vegas Pro. And I want to use a widescreen setting because I don't know what your end product needs to be, but if you, and you may not either, but if you design it as a widescreen composition, you can get smaller compositions from that. So let's go into File, New, and I can type in the widescreen settings, and that translates to a width and height of 1280 by 720. I can type that in, or in Vegas, I can look for a template that's widescreen. And I got one here for a high definition, 1280, 720, 29 frames per second. That looks good. I'm going to click on it. And the template here looks good. I can change this from good to best if I want to. And I click on the audio. These settings are good. If I can change that, I can change this from good to best if I want to. And hit OK. And I can see that I've got a wide composition. There's nothing in it right now. I'm going to now look for some images. Now, if you're working in fair use, or if you're doing this for educational purposes, you can consult with someone about how you can scan images from books or magazines and use these for class projects. Or you can do your own artwork, and that way you have intellectual rights to that property because it belongs to you, and you can use it however you wish. I'm going to go to a website where I know there's some royalty-free images and download some of those and use them for this demonstration. So I'm going to do that. I'm at Wikicommons, and at this website I've got a lot of masterworks that were scanned in high resolution, so I know these are large images. And basically what a high resolution image is a large image. So those are synonymous terms. So I know these are large images. I'm going to click on this one, for example. It kind of has that widescreen composition to it, so that's going to be helpful. I'm going to click on it and get to the largest one that there is here, and then right click, and I can check it out by going, I'm using Firefox, and I can go to property, right click, go to properties, and go, yeah, that's going to work. That's definitely bigger than my widescreen composition, so it's better to have bigger than to have smaller. I'm going to click that off and then save image as. In addition, I want to save these as numerical names because I know that my video editing application will import images in a chronological order that I designate by giving it these numerical names. So I've got a folder already saved to my desktop. I'm just going to hit save now, and I've got that one. You don't want smaller images because the analogy is kind of like if you have a balloon with no air in it, but as you begin to blow air into it, you get that transparency as the rubber begins to stretch. The same thing sort of happens with an image when you take it from a smaller state to a larger state. It begins to pixelate. I'm sure many people have witnessed that. So there's no way to get around that. You need to simply use a high resolution image, and that might mean to look for just a different image that's bigger, or to scan it from some book or magazine under fair use guidelines. I'm going to look for another image here. Let's say that I want maybe this one. I'm going to click on it, right click, and click again, and then right click and check the properties. This looks like it's bigger than my widescreen video composition. This should be fine too. I'm going to right click and save image as 2, and I can enhance these in Photoshop if I wish, and I might want to do that. I don't have time to do that in this video, but I've got another image there. I'm just going to stop with 2, and then just minimize this, and then no, I've got those images saved in a folder on the desktop. I can get them into the application by going into File, Import, Media, and then I can click on one and then hold down the Control key to get the second one, and then click Open. I can do this in Vegas. You might be able to do it in your video application too, but I can go into options and preferences and change the way that these import into my project, like I can get these to import into the timeline with a 10-second duration and already overlapping. So that's kind of nice sometimes to do some things like that. And I've already done that. I'll show you where you can do that in Vegas. So I can go to Options, Preferences. It's in the Editing tab, and in the Editing tab I can say, okay, I want each of these still images to import at a duration of 10 seconds. And I do want some overlap because that way I can get a crossfade transition to them. So I've got 2 seconds of transition. I'm going to hit OK. It's easier to see this and understand it than to talk about it. So I'm going to click on those 2 images selected and then drag them all the way to the left and then let go. And you can see they came in at 10 seconds. I'm losing a little bit of the time because they are overlapping. So you have to think about that sometimes. I'm clicking on this bar at the bottom, getting the double arrows just to zoom in a little bit to see what I've got here a little easier. I can see I've got a transition there, so it's doing what I wanted. If I had 50 images, it's nice to give them numerical names and to import them this way. That way a lot of the work's already done for you. I'm going to click back a little bit and just kind of review this. If I go to the keyboard and hit L, that's my hotkey for go, so I'm going to do that. And we can see what's happening here. I saw that I got that transition, so that looks good. But on this image, I'm getting those black bars on the other side, so maybe I want to change that I want to hit stop. And I'm getting a little bit of that on this image too. So I can do that in Vegas by clicking on the Event Pan and Crop, and then right-clicking in this little diagram and go Match Output Aspect. And then this one's a little more troublesome because there's a lot I'm going to lose. If I bring the width out to either side, I'm going to lose a lot of the height, and I'm going to lose a little bit of that image and maybe some of that image. Let's see what happens when I do that. I'm going to click on Get the Diagram and then get Match Output Aspect, and I can move this around a little bit, but I'm really losing a lot of the composition, so I might want to think of some other thing to do. And I'm going to show you something neat you can do in Vegas by I'm just going to drag that out, and I don't actually need to do that. I'm going to leave that at its crossfade, but with I'm going to click on this little diamond right there and set this at, the problem is I can't see what I'm doing because of the crossfade, so I'm going to drag that out, go to the very beginning of the image, and I want it to start. I'm going to add some motion to this image. Maybe I want to start from the top and let it it's going to scroll down and give it some movement. So if I start the image at that position, I can click to the end of this and click another diamond and go, okay, it's going to end like that. And if I review it, go back to the keyboard, hit L, I can see I've added some motion to that image. That's kind of neat to do. And K is my stop or pause button. I can throw that 2-second transition back on, and then click back and hit L and see what I've gotten. Now I'm going from a still image fading into another still image that just has some motion added to it. So that's kind of neat. And you can add some voice narrations or some music that you've created or some music that you have rights to use to this, and create your own little composition. So those are the concepts to think about when you're working with images and video, is to start with a widescreen setting, because from that widescreen you can create smaller compositions, and to think about getting high resolution images. And if you need to enhance those a bit in Photoshop, that's always a good idea too. So that's all for this video.